Bulwanak everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stylish. I'm your host Fuzz. Today I speak to some incredible models about what life has been like since COVID-19, and we also get to take a look deeper into their lives off the runway. I will be speaking to Kim Rava, who is a runway coach, followed by Jarika Prasad, a physiotherapist, Chese, a chef, Michael Muzaffar, who is an engineer, and Hanisi Hodge, who works in marketing for her family business. Well, everybody, so before we can speak to any models, we have to speak to the OG of modeling, the model trainer himself, Kim Rava. Kim is one of my absolute favorite people, genuinely. So tell me, Kim, tell me about your life.
Like in general?
Yes, like in general. I've known Kim a long time, so I don't really know where to start because there's so much. But yeah, tell the audience about your life. Tell us about where you grew up, how you got into performance.
I was born and raised in Taviuni, and I'm originally from Taviuni. My dad is from Galeni, Pangai, and my mom is from Yanuda. So I'm a pure Taviunian. And I moved to Suva like almost 10 years ago for secondary school education, sorry. I got into dancing when I was in USB. I'm a dancer and a singer by profession. And I've done a little bit of traveling around the globe and the region too. And with model training, I have helped and mentored some of Fiji's household names, like Asiana Roktiwai. She was the top model during her year for Miss World in 2014, if I'm correct. And when I took her under my wing, she had never had any runway experience at all, and we worked within a time frame of like 3 to 4 days, and I was proud and shocked that she took the award of the top model category for Miss World. And another mentee that I helped was Candace Verama. She was Miss Hibiscus. So yeah, that's a bit of my experience.
You've been quite a prolific performer. You've done a lot of major productions over the course of your career. But how did you make that transition from performance to modeling? And are the two model as a model trainer? And are the two very different?
Well, for me, because I took ballet under the guidance of Peter Espiritu. He was our director back then at the Usheni Dance Theatre, and I think with ballet, because you're always dancing on your toes most of the time, that really helped with walking on walking on the runway. For me personally, that's something that really helped a lot with runway walk and coaching.
When you train a model, do you train them with thinking dance or from your dance mindset?
Not necessarily, no. Well, to train a model, my personal experience is a model needs to find their swag, their niche in walking. That's how I do it. But yes, while walking, you can somehow dance in your mind, but not on the runway itself.
Is it kind of? So are you saying that it's kind of like the rhythm that you have to find?
Yes, you have. It's very important that you find your rhythm with runway walking.
In your opinion, some of our best models so far, do you feel like they have been those models that have had a certain sort of type of rhythm to the way they walk?
Oh, definitely. With my experience, observing past models, top models in Fiji, they have different swags and different styles, and I think I can see that most of them are influenced by supermodels overseas. we can really tell, like if you see a model, a top model here, you can really tell who they're inspired by.
Can you give me an example of that?
Like a
A name and who you think they walk like.
one is Heather.
Heather Marama.
Heather Marama. She's one of like top models here. And when I see Heather walk, I can definitely tell that she is she's a Naomi kind of girl. Her walk, her swag, and everything about her runway experience gives me Naomi vibes.
That's very cool. So tell me something. Now back to you. What has your favorite show been so far that you've been a part of?
I think my favorite production in dance was the Epeli Haufa Dance Festival, because it was a collaboration of different genres and different dance companies from around the world. We had a dance company from Japan, Hawaii, from the mainland United States, and almost everywhere around the region in the Pacific as well. And it was a show to appreciate and show legacy for the late Mr. Epeli Haufa and his work.
So, what has been your favorite runway show to date?
My favorite fashion event or fashion show is Style.
Yes.
That's my ultimate favorite.
What is it about Style Fiji? I mean, people talk about the fact that it's quite special, but what is it about Style Fiji that's special for you?
Well, to me, it's the diversity. It's like a cultural rendezvous. Fashion, performing arts, you have everything coming together and being showcased in one night, and fashion is the ultimate foundation of it. So I've been part of Style for almost 7 or 8 years now, and to me every year it keeps on getting better and better, and it triggers something within my soul that tells me this is who you are, and this is what you should be doing as a performing artist.
I love that. How do you pick your models? What do you look for?
That's a tricky one.
But I'm sure you know how.
Yes. Well,
For the runway, how would you pick a runway model and be like, you're it, you're the one, you're part of this list?
when I see a runway model, I need to see something different from all the other runway models. Not only here in Fiji, but the rest of the world. That's the ultimate goal. Like, you can walk, but your walk has to be so different, chic and different from everyone else.
So you look for difference.
Yes.
So how do you feel about people who say that all runway models should look the same, that there should be uniformity?
Oh, I totally disagree with that. Mainly because we are all, physically, we're all built and made differently. So your walk would be totally different from my walk. So the base foundation of that is when I choose a model, I made sure that they find their walk. For guys, find their swag, and then I work from there. I tweak it a little bit and make it, better from there. Hi, so this is my 101 catwalk tutorial, and we're gonna start from step 1 straight away. So step 1 is mindset. I have to gauge where the model's level of confidence is, and I trick the mind. So what I tell the model first is you think in your head that you're above everybody else before you walk into that runway. Not literally, but just to trick the mind, so it kind of tricks your confidence, it boosts your confidence, sorry. First of all is that, and then we go into physicalities. Drop your shoulders, drop your shoulders. Sometimes when you're tensed, your shoulders tends to show it. Drop your shoulders, always have this relaxed kind of look. Chin up, chest out for guys a little bit, and ladies too. You don't want to be slouching and having that effect when you're walking. So with that, it kind of gives it this high fashion, I am above everybody kind of poise. And then the walk. For the walk, for me, when I train my model, you have to imagine that there is a fine line of the width of, the line is exactly the width of your feet and it goes straight. And you walk above that line, not out this way or out this way. So walk one after the other, and while you're walking, you elongate, you think tall. Also at the same time, while doing that, you have to practice the first step. So shoulders down, hands by your side, no catch up fingers, your fingers has to be relaxed. And then you walk. Walk on the fine line, but exaggerate your hands a little bit.
Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're always, I mean, like, Kim is such a star. Kim, I trained Kim how to be a runway model himself. Without me, Kim would not know how to walk. Stay with us. Coming up right after the break, we speak to our first model, Jerika Prasad. Hello everybody, so here we are sitting with an incredible young model who's been doing a lot of interesting things with her life actually. So this is Miss Jerika Prasad. Jerika, could you please tell the audience a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how old you are?
Well, firstly, my name is Jerika Prasad. Majority of my young life was spent in Levuka. We were there for about 7 years, and then my father got transferred here. So,
what does your father do?
My father's in the judicial department. Mm-hmm. So when we shifted here in 2006, we did a lot of moving after that, moving from one place to the other, different schools, and then finally we settled down in Namena Road, and we've just been close by with all the relatives around, and yeah. So
How old are you this year?
I've turned 23 this year.
Oh wow, okay, so you're getting there. You're like in your mid-20s now.
Yes.
When did you start modeling?
I started modeling in 2018 when the Fijian Fashion Festival started. That was the very first time that I went to audition for modeling. It was something that I've been something that I've been wanting to do when I was small, but I didn't really see myself doing it because I thought, oh, you'd have to be really skinny or you'd have to be really tall and certain complexion types. I wasn't that confident at first. But when I got to meet the people and how the show was going to be, how they looked at men and women of different sizes, different heights, different cultures, so it made me feel more confident about doing it.
Okay, do you feel like being a model sort of helped you come out of your shell a little bit?
Yes, it did. I used to do taekwondo and dancing before, but
Taekwondo?
Yes.
So you could kick somebody?
Yeah. So my confidence then wasn't as good, talking wise. But when I started modeling, it was let's just say it gave me a boost, a really big boost. And it made me realize, oh, I can do this. It's something out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Comfort zone meaning the type of outfits that we've had to try on. Some things I may not wear, but I was glad that I did. I know, oh, I can rock this look as well. So that kind of boosted my esteem, not with just like wearing different outfits, but also talking to people, interacting. So yeah, it really did boost my
That's very interesting actually. So do you feel like it was sort of like a transformative time for you?
Yes, very much.
And you're continuing to model now?
Yes.
What have things been like, given COVID-19?
Well, can't really say much. It's out of our control. All we can do is just be responsible Fijians, do what's right. Like, just do your best to keep everybody around you in a safer environment.
Absolutely. Have there been many opportunities to model this year?
The latest one is the Wearing Fiji show that will be coming up. So that's one, and there's another show that will be coming up. I'm sure it's going to be just as awesome. So yeah, those are the two shows that I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that's excellent. So how do you think your character developed through the process? Because, when people think of models, they think, oh, they wear clothes and like walk up and down. But what in your character developed? What can you express to people? There's so much more than just what you see as a final product.
Oh, well, at first, people used to think that models were like very out there, very fancy, always wear the branded clothing or branded outfits or little accessories. But when you get to know a model is more than that. They have discipline, they're determined to achieve whatever they want, they have their goals, they have other things to do, other things other than just modeling. In Fiji, modeling is not really seen as a profession. It's more of it's like a hobby and extracurricular activity that you can do to also help those within the fashion industry. So for me, what I thought modeling was then was actually different from what I actually saw. So a lot of discipline, how you keep yourself, your health, you respect the people around you. So I think it kind of, the way I was raised, I think everything just kind of flowed with the modeling, the new teachings and all that I learned from. So
that's excellent. And speaking of discipline, so you are yourself, in fact, outside the modeling world, a physiotherapist.
Yes. So we graduated, 2019 graduates.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Sadly, there are no vacancies out yet. I'm still waiting for a few responses to come in for work. So just at home at the moment, relaxing, but also studying and revising just to keep in touch with whatever is going on in the medical setting.
Even getting to that point of qualification would have taken a lot of discipline.
Yes, it did. A lot of time management, a lot of decisions you have to make. You don't always have to go to parties and so on and so on. So yeah.
How do you feel like being a model and being a physiotherapist sort of complement each other?
Well, physique, fitness, health. When it comes to heels, though, we kind of tell women not to wear heels too often. So the irony with that is I'm a physio and I'm wearing heels.
I just had to look at your shoes. Yeah.
Sandals. Yeah. So I guess fitness-wise, health-wise, yes, modeling and physiotherapy are related. But there are some things which we try to inform other women and men too who wear heels, like not to wear it as often. And if you do, a few exercises that you can do, a few relaxation poses you can do, just so that you don't strain your legs, your feet.
Do you feel like having sort of become more social as a result of involving yourself within the fashion industry and with fashion people, do you think that that'll, when you do start working as a physiotherapist, do you think that it'll be helpful in the way that you relate to your patients?
Oh yes, it will. There are other activities along with modeling that have really helped me to communicate more with people, more understanding of where they are coming from. So yes, it really does help.
That's excellent. What advice do you have for other young people who want to who want to do this, but who only see the glamour, because everybody just sees the runway and they think that that's it, but people don't just show up on the last day.
Well, one advice I'd give to the viewers would be to just be yourself. You don't always have to have this, have that, do this, do that to be noticed, to be seen. You just be yourself. Physical beauty and inner beauty will obviously get you recognized one way or the other. So yes, to be yourself, be hardworking, honest, be respectful to the people around you. So that's basically what I tell my viewers. Be yourself.
I love that, and that is the perfect advice to end the segment. Coming up right after the break, we speak to male model Chese. Welcome everybody. So I'm sitting here with a very popular male model, Chesimbale. Chesa, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling wonderful. It's a beautiful day.
Wow, look at you all of a sudden.
Look at this face.
I promise you, he was nervous just like 5 seconds ago, and
Yes,
suddenly
yeah.
there's a lot of confidence.
That's very helpful.
So tell me, so you returned to Fiji after living abroad for a period of time. Where were you living and what were you doing there?
Yes, actually I was in Zurich, Switzerland. I was there for 4 years because of my, the reason why I actually moved there was because of my ex-girlfriend. We spent a year here together and then we decided, okay, why don't we move over to Zurich and see what it's like there. So I moved over and after 2 years my relationship fell apart and I was on my own from there. And I worked as a chef and I also modeled for a year for Nike.
So you started modeling there. We'll come back to you being a chef, but tell me first about your modeling experience. Had you modeled in Fiji at all before going to Zurich, or was that your first experience?
Yes, actually I modeled in Fiji prior to moving over to Zurich. So I modeled for lovely Fuzz over here a couple of times and also for Samson Lee and some other designers. Yeah.
And so going across to Zurich, was modeling something that you thought that you might pursue, or did you just kind of fall into it?
Actually, to be honest, I thought the European market was too high for me. Like I was not, what should I say? I didn't think I was eligible for it. I would really fit into it. But then they were really looking for black models. So that was kind of like, yeah, my lucky charm. Because of my skin color.
So you found your niche in your skin tone.
Yes.
What was that like for you? Did that make you feel any type of way, or were you just happy for the experience?
I was really proud, to be honest. Yeah, I was a proud black man.
And so you're the only Fijian as well?
Yes.
Excellent. So what was it like modeling for Nike?
It was cool because there was only two of us black. It was one male, which like I was, and the other one was a female. And she was from Ghana. Yes, she was very, very dark, but
when you lived there, did people know that you were Fijian, or did they mistake you for being from elsewhere?
No, I always get mistaken as a black American.
Okay, interesting.
But they would be so fascinated that I say I'm from Fiji, and they'd be like, you know what? You'd be the first person from Fiji that I've ever met. Which always makes me more proud.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, speaking of your pride for the Pacific, you said that you worked for a time as a chef.
Yes.
And so you found your passion as a chef.
Yes.
So tell me about the restaurant that you worked at and how that relates back to your Pacific roots.
Okay, to be honest, I came from very humble beginnings. I came from a family of 3, and my dad was also looking after my in-laws. The siblings, because their parents passed away, but it has always like kind of taught me to like be comfortable with what I have and like where I am. And so that kind of really helped me like moving over to Zurich because I went and I worked at a 1 Michelin star restaurant, which is very, very challenging. Because to work there, you need to like have tons and tons of like experience.
Can you kind of explain before you carry on what a Michelin star rating is to the audience, for those of our audience who don't know?
Michelin star it's one of the hardest thing to get. Like it's kind of like the pinnacle of restaurateurs, and it depends on like they come and rate your food. You will never know that they're there. They will just come like anonymous. They will come into the restaurant. They will rate everything from service to like the place and to the food. Most importantly, and they always say in Europe it's easy to get a Michelin star, but it's harder to maintain it, to keep it. So yeah, it was just, I mean, like I thank God every day for the opportunity to like work there.
What did you learn while you were in that restaurant?
I learned to work very hard because there were chefs from Europe, from England, from France, from Italy, 3 of the biggest world cuisine. They would be applying to this restaurant, and I was taken instead because of my work ethic. Because I know that I had no other alternatives. I either have to make it or break it. It's either or. If I don't work, I end up in the streets. So I really had to put my foot down for it.
And I remember in a conversation we had prior, you said that you returned to the Pacific because there was an interest in Pacific cuisine when you were in Switzerland.
Yes. So apparently, like a lot of when you're in Switzerland, like people who can afford a vacation in Fiji, they have to have like money. They're rich, and for that reason, like most of them, they would come back to Switzerland and be like, oh, they would come to our restaurant. They'd be like, do you guys have like any food like from the South Pacific or whatever, like a Pacific cuisine? And so none of them had it. It was like literally none offered it. It went as far as just like Thai, yeah. So anyways, at the end of 2018, my boss kind of gave me my contract, like a 3-year contract, and he was like, I cannot give you like a higher contract. You need to be specialized in something. And so I had this thought, like, so I had a meeting with him, and he offered me that he would pay half of my school fees here and for me to study Pacific cuisine. And when I come back, I have to work for him for 3 years before I can move to other.
So you're here in Fiji learning Pacific cuisine to take back to Europe.
Yes.
Are you excited about that?
Ooh, it's lovely because there's not much knowledge with regards to the kind of produce we have here, as in like the properties and stuff. So it's hard to like, it's challenging to work with it, but at the same time very fun.
Very cool. So tell me something. How does you being a model relate to you being a chef? Do the two sort of converge at any point, or are they two things that are completely separate? Have you taken any of the principles that you've learned in either one of those fields and put it in the other field?
Yes, most definitely. See, the thing is that like modeling and chef, like they're two very different dimensions, like two very different worlds. But for me, personally, I find it like it really worked to my advantage because being a chef, like it allows me to know like what good food there is, like how to prepare it, how to go about it. And being a model means like you always have to be on a good diet. You always have to look good. You always have to like watch what you eat, and so that it kind of really works out.
I know that part because I always watch what I eat as well, because I'm obviously a much more popular model than Chester.
Exactly, as you can see.
Thank you very much, Chester. So Chester's going to take us to his home now, where he's going to show us how to make the omelette that landed him his first chef job.
Yes.
Hello everybody, so here we are sitting with one of my favorite male models, Michael. So Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. You, of course, I mean the t-shirt, it says like Coca-Cola Amatil Fiji Engineering, so you're an engineer. Yep. So let's talk about that first.
Okay, so I started working in Coca-Cola as a maintenance coordinator. I started this job in 2019, April. So before that I started as a trainee. So I had carried out like about 3 months training before I got to that post. So I trained my way. I had to learn a lot of stuff because it's a big plant, like you have to learn each and every aspect of engineering. For myself, like I have a degree in electrical and electronics engineering, so I'm not really sticking to my area of study, but I'm actually exploring mechanical side. There's pneumatics as well, hydraulics, everything engineering.
Have you always wanted to be an engineer?
I wanted to actually focus on aeronautics, but due to the unavailability of that study to be carried out in Fiji, I could not, and it was pretty expensive for me to go overseas and study. So I had to do something. I might as well just start with something engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you still see this as a stepping stone to something bigger?
I've built my interest while I was studying. First 2 years I was quite shaky, you know, like I wasn't really having the interest of electrical and electronics. But as I went to my third year, a lot of projects started coming, and I started building my interest in it. So a lot of research, you know, carrying out a lot of new ways to do things, new engineering specs and designing and all that stuff going on. So it was pretty interesting.
That is cool.
Yeah.
How does any of that relate to you being a model, though?
Well, yeah, that's another thing which I actually started in 2018. I was actually forced by my friends to go for an audition for the Potega Vision Fashion Festival that started in 2018, I think. So I was really scared. I had no confidence at all in me.
Really?
Yeah, I was really, like, I don't know. I just don't know how to describe that feeling, you know, like you just don't want to like be, you know, all the eyes like just popping on you. And
Do you think it's harder for boys?
for starters, I'd say it's pretty hard, but you need to get yourself out there, you know, so you can do something.
So why did you choose to do it? I mean, aside from your friends forcing you, there must have been something in you where you're like, oh, I should do this because.
Yeah. I wanted to try it out, but you know, like they kept saying like, hey Michael, why don't you try it out? Why don't you try it out? Just give it a shot, let's see where it goes. And I was like, okay, because I was only scared about, you know, like getting eliminated.
So the rejection scared you.
Yeah. But yeah, after I started, I had a lot of interest. I was learning a lot of things actually, which I had no idea about, like how to walk, how to have your expressions, how to, you know, sway your body in terms of your body composition, how to take care of yourself. Well, hygiene is number one, so you don't want to walk and then you start stinking. Yeah, that was one of them. But all in all, I'd say I am really loving modeling.
And does it sort of fit into, I mean, of course, you're a fitness enthusiast as well.
Yeah.
So do you think that modeling and your love of fitness sort of complement each other?
Yeah, I think it's giving me that boost in terms of appearance. So I know that if you actually access, you know, the internet and then you like looking out in the internet and you see a lot of male models actually, they need to take care of themselves in terms of physical appearances. You know, like you go to the gym, lift weights or do exercises and just look after yourself, because a lot of male, like according to what I've seen, a lot of male models actually lack confidence in themselves. So.
In Fiji?
Yeah.
Where do you think that lack of confidence comes from?
I think it's just like that they're probably scared to like just face, you know, like face their own ability. Like they don't really wanna let loose. Like what I'm trying to say is they don't know what capability they have. I mean, it's no harm in trying. Like I started as well, so it wasn't like before I started I was like, oh yeah, I was already a male model. No, I had to give it a shot and then work my way up. So
do you think that it has something to do with the fact that in Fiji some people still have the perception that modeling is a female thing? It's something that women do, not necessarily that males do.
that could be a factor as well, because
But you've modeled almost at every show since you auditioned, so clearly there's jobs for men as well.
yeah, there is a lot of scope for men. So people who think that way, they shouldn't, because fashion industry and fashion designing in Fiji, fashion shows itself is going on a high right now. So I think especially male model, if you want to become a male model, just give it a shot and you see where you go. You just need to get all those small things right, because like I say, confidence, the ability for you to have, you know, like say, you just need to look after yourself in overall, and yeah, that's it. Just have confidence.
And that's sort of, you've talked about confidence a couple of times. I think that's true, and I think it's something that develops through like experience with shows and in the fashion industry more broadly.
I was scared. I'm like walking, I'm gonna trip. No. I'm gonna fall down. No. I need to walk straight. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? So that's when people come, like the professionals come, they come and help you. Like, no, okay, you have to do it this way. You have to do this work for this designer. You have to do that work for that designer. So it depends on what the designer wants, but you need to give it, you need to show your ability of doing things.
Do you think that you developed a signature walk? I know that you had a signature turn, like, I'm sorry, but it became a thing, like at Style Fiji, where people were saying, oh, we'll do the Michael turn, because Michael had his own sort of turn. But do you think you developed your own signature walk?
Yeah, I kind of did, because when you're getting all the hype, the confidence is already inside you, so you just want to do something new. You want to create something new on the platform, because at the end of the day, it's you and only you on the runway. Everyone's got their eyes on you. So you want to do something which, excites them,
and
excites the crowd.
Makes you memorable as well.
Exactly. It's not about like, because see, clothes and the model come together to make it one. It's not clothes going itself.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. How has your experience in modeling impacted the rest of your life? Like, has it had an impact on your job, on your, the way that you relate to people?
In terms of my work, it could get a bit hectic because working hours do fluctuate. Sometimes there's overtime, sometimes that's not. So if there's no overtime, but I keep my work my priority because that's number one. And the days where I am free, I just head to the gym. I do my workouts straight after that, and I'm home. And if there's any shows coming up for modeling, I just go and rehearse. And if I have any commitments, like say, usually we have work on Saturdays, so I inform them so they know.
And work has been good with that?
Yeah. In terms of my experience with modeling, yeah, it's been okay.
Do you think that the skills that you've learned as a model help you in your everyday life?
It does. It does. Let me give you an example. If you have a meeting and you're out there in front speaking, you actually have more confidence. That's number one. Like, yeah, okay. Even though like you're saying something else, like, which is not true, but you have the confidence to say, like, yeah, okay, this is this. So the people seeing you, they're like, okay, yeah, he's saying it with so much confidence. He is right, he's right. So you'll put them questionable, like.
You sound like a con.
It helps sometimes. So yeah.
What's advice that you'd like to give to any other young man who wants to try out and become the next Michael or the next Chese or?
Okay, there's only one advice for you guys. Please don't be shy. You don't know what you're capable of. Get out there and do your thing, and just make sure to be having a lot of confidence and stay focused, because you never know what you're capable of.
I like that. Thank you very much. Coming up right after the break, we speak to Hanisi Hodge. So I'm here at the home of Hanisi Hodge. Hanisi, you will recognize from previous episodes. She is an incredible model. She's the face of Zubair, and she is, I think, the only actual face of a fashion label in Fiji at the moment. She also, a lot of people are not aware, works in marketing at the Hot Bread Kitchen, which is her family business. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
That's you.
Good
So
you.
everybody, this is Hanisi Hodge.
Hi.
Hanisi, we're going to have a little bit of a chat to you about what it's like being a model, especially in these times. So firstly, I've already told the audience that you are the face of Zubair. Tell us about your other modeling experience.
Well, I've been modeling in Fiji for about 5 years now, and I've done some runway shows with Fijian Fashion Festival and Style Fiji. And yeah, it's been pretty fun.
But you had some experience in modeling before you moved back to Fiji.
Yeah, just
because
a
you lived
bit.
in America for a while.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I'm really tall, and my mom told me that it was either basketball or modeling, and I wasn't very sporty, so I chose modeling. And yeah, I just had some experience with like some modeling camps there and just did a few photo shoots, but I was in school, so it wasn't really that much.
What is a modeling camp?
Basically, they just kind of like run through the basics with you, I guess, and it's sort of like, yeah, sort of training similar to the training that we did with the models at Fijian Fashion Festival. I also worked crew at Fijian Fashion Festival, as you know, and one thing we did was we had trainings on Saturdays for the models because most of them were new to it and they'd never modeled before, so just basics like posing, walking, yeah, how to behave in front of the camera, things like that.
How old were you when you moved back to Fiji?
I was 18.
So moving back, and you've got this experience in the States, do you think that you put that into effect when you moved home, or did you sort of sharpen your skills back in Fiji?
Both, sort of. Like, definitely got more experience once I moved to Fiji because I was just like modeling more here than I was in the States. And when you say put into effect, what do you mean by that?
Just sort of like the skills that you learned in the States, do you feel like they were useful for you sort of getting into the industry here? Because when you did get into the industry, you got in pretty heavy and pretty big.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was like sort of, I ended up putting it into practice more here, but I do feel like it was useful for me, especially like with Fijian Fashion Festival, sort of getting to take a little bit of what I learned to the States and like bringing it to, you know, some people here who were like just brand new to modeling. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
What was it like for you coming back and sort of, you know, your family business here, which is what you work with now? What is it like for you coming back and managing those two different lives, like being a model, working a hot bread kitchen?
I mean, it's it's
nervous
funny.
laughter.
Yeah, nervous laughter. No, it's just funny because people, like, I've heard some people have said to me like, oh, you know, I thought you were a full-time model, but it's like there's just like not enough business for that, you know what I mean? There's not enough modeling jobs, I don't think, for anyone in Fiji to be a full-time model. So it really is a hobby. It's something that I do for fun. I think it's a lot of fun, but it's something that happens on the weekends. So, you know, in terms of like managing both things, it's like, yeah. It's definitely very easy to have like a full-time job during the weekdays because like modeling is pretty much just like a hobby. So, yeah.
So do you think that any of the skills that you've picked up from being a model you've applied to the rest of your life and to your job?
For sure. Like one of the reasons why I sort of started doing modeling was because I was really, really shy, especially like in front of people.
I can't imagine that. With all that hair?
Yeah. But I think experience in modeling has helped me with like presentation and yeah, just sort of like public speaking, and it helped me with confidence, you know, in terms of like making presentations and, you know, a lot of things that you have to have like for a professional life and a professional career. I do think modeling has helped with that.
What is the future, do you think? I mean, like COVID-19 has been pretty major. There aren't any sort of huge shows this year or anything like that. So what is the future, do you think, for other young people who want to be involved?
I think that right now there are some brands that are hitting their social media marketing pretty heavily, and that's probably just going to be what the fashion scene is like for the next couple of years until the economy comes back and people have more disposable income to spend on like fashion shows, because in Fiji right now fashion shows are still more entertainment than it is like a really important like activity for the fashion market. So but yeah, I mean, that's not to say that there aren't things going on. Like some brands are having their own shows. You know, there's people doing photo shoots for social media and stuff like that. So I mean, there's still activity going on. So yeah.
How do you respond to being such a popular face as a model? You've been listed a couple of times as Fiji's top model.
Oh, that's really nice.
Oh, that's false humility. That's fine. But how does it make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel good, I guess.
Is it something you think about?
Not really.
So basically, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird when people say it, because like, yeah, I don't know, sometimes people say that to me, they're like, oh, you're my favorite model, and I'm like, oh, that's It's nice.
I remember like, guys, I'm actually not a model, I'm a marketer.
No.
So public Hanisi is a model, and private Hanisi is like behind a laptop working out how to sell stuff.
Kind of, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Tell me some of the crossovers between modeling and your job as somebody who works in marketing.
Well, part of my job was actually like dealing one-on-one with some of our team who are like on the ground in the shops and like training them in basics, like, you know, sort of presentation and like customer service and things like that. So when you're talking to a large group of people, yeah, I think modeling helps with like the presenting aspect of that. Not in the sense that I'm not like posing, but it's something that's helped me to be comfortable in a setting where I'm like being looked at by lots of people, you know what I mean? Whereas before I started modeling, the idea of like standing up in the front of a room and presenting to a bunch of people who are looking at me, like that really scared me. Like I couldn't do that.
So as somebody who works in your family business, what do you want to say about working in family business? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it a challenge? The perception a lot of people have is that, you know, when a young person gets involved in family business, it's easy.
Oh, no. Well, okay, I will say this. It's definitely a blessing because, like, I know that, you know, right now in this climate, some people are, like, worried about job security. So it's definitely a blessing for me because, you know, yeah, I know that, like, my place at work is secure. It's also a blessing because I've been given opportunities to get involved with aspects of the company that people my age might not really have the opportunity to be involved in, you know, if there's not sort of a succession planning situation there. So I'm definitely very thankful for that. That being said, working with family can be challenging in its own ways, and then, you know, also just sort of having like a more personal invested interest in the outcome of things can, like, yeah, it can be like emotional at times because, like, you know, it's like your family's like baby that you're working with, and yeah.
Do you feel like you're the next generation of Hot Bread Kitchen?
I do, yeah.
That's really beautiful. Well, take us now to one of your fabulous cafes.
Sure, let's go.
Thank you very much to all of my guests. I hope that you're leaving the episode realizing that models are so much more than what you see on the runway. Coming up next week, join us for a special makeover episode.